Okay, let's jump to the next one. Okay, so setting up PLG, we lumped in 3 questions here because it's all around setting it up. And there actually have been some questions coming in related to these questions. So I'm glad we're touching upon these right now. So let's take the first one and address that. Do you have to have a free trial or free version of your product in order to be called a PLG motion or implement PLG? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think in order to have a product to lead your growth, you need to have a product. The product here is not just your regular product. It's kind of something you can give away, right? It's a vehicle. Like I mentioned, you're giving away this product. You remove all the hurdle to access the product. So free trial and free version are the 2 most common, definitely most common vehicle for PLG. There are some other ways you can go around with it. For example, like Amplitude, it's a product analytics software. They have a hurdle because you usually require engineer to set it up, and then you can use that. But they build a very realistic simulation demo. So it's not just a demo, it's not a video, it's something you can play with. It's not your own data, it's fake data, but at least you can use that to play with the tool. That doesn't require any setting up, that doesn't require any configuration to be done. So that's one way you go around like the freemium, the free version, the free trial, if you cannot do that, right? If it's too hard. Or like for GitLab, we have open source version of the product for many developer tools. That's actually one potential vehicle of PLG. Or there's this concept of sidecar product. Basically, it's not directly giving away a free version of your product, but you build something really related to that, make it for free. For example, HubSpot has this very, very famous website grader. You grade your website and you attract the same audience, right? Which are the marketers and people to your main product, but this thing is free. Or there is a developer product, they build kind of a security vulnerability free scanner. It's a free thing. They have it on their own website. You can use it for free. It becomes a little bit of this vehicle. But again, free trial and freemium are the most obvious. And I saw your next question. How do you decide? I think that's a great question. If usually freemium can give you bigger user base, but your immediate conversion rate is lower. And free trial doesn't give you as many free user base, but the immediate conversion rate is higher. So if you go to the next slide, I have a chart that shows kind of a little bit difference. This is a research from OpenView. They did this. So basically you can see free trials, free to paid conversion rate is almost double than the freemium. But does that mean free trial is better? Not necessarily. Like I think longer term, freemium has a lot of advantage, especially if your product has a network effect. You can really grab market share. You can really become very defensible. Free trial is a better strategy for quicker conversion, or a little bit more constrained experience. You want to give away, but you don't want to give too much. You still have a revenue goal to hit this quarter, something like that. Some companies actually combine those two. They have something called reverse trial. So that's if you use tools like Airtable, and many products actually do that today. When you come in, I give you freemium by default. I give you a free trial by default. And after 14 days or 30 days, you have a choice to make. You can either upgrade to paid. If you don't, you can downgrade to free. And the freemium is forever. So like that's one way to combine those two. Yeah, I think you have a last question there around.
Yeah, I do want to offer some of my insights or experience regarding the freemium versus free trial. I think what you described, combining into a reverse freemium, like if that is the term, I think that addresses some of the pros and cons for both types of models by itself. Because in my past lives, like any other growth marketer, we do a lot of testing, and I've tested freemium versus free trial. At least from my experience, what I've learned is that when we're offering a free trial, the benefits are that the user gets access to premium level features that's not available in freemium, but you get access to it for a limited time. But that limited time is oftentimes an artificial time frame that someone on the product team or market growth team decides 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, what have you, right? And there's no real reason behind that. And from a user perspective, and this is what I've learned just from talking to other users in the past, sometimes there's some psychological effects where, okay, if I know it's a very short trial, 7-day trial, I'm going to put off signing up until I have time and I'm ready to start to dedicate 7 days to actually hunker down and try out your product, assuming that's a very, intensive type of product. And so like I learned from that experience thinking, okay, if it's a short trial, I might not see as many people, right? Kind of like supporting these data points. And then when they do actually sign up, then it's up to me or the product team to make sure that within that time period that they find use, they're activated, they're on board and activated, they find usage, right? Or get driving towards usage. And that time period, is 7 days enough? Is 30 days enough? That's hard. It's different for every single company. So the downside that I found with free trial is that you're introducing an artificial limitation in terms of a time frame for how much you can use, the time frame you can use the product. That really means you got to get really good with your onboarding, your activation to get to that wholeness.